Hello, I'm Angie Lomeli and I am an EMS instructor. I'm presenting you with a series of EMS educational videos. Now, whether you are a first responder, a student, or just someone simply interested in learning more about the wonderful world of EMS, these videos are for you. Now, the videos are made so that you may watch and follow along as well as practice while watching. Hopefully you'll find these videos helpful during your lab skills and testing. Good luck with your venture, and let's get started.
Performance objective. Student will demonstrate the ability to apply a Sager traction splint. Taking more than 15 minutes is a fail for this skill. Although rescuers are expected to wear gloves when contacting a patient, rescuers in this training video may not be wearing gloves. Conditions. The patient is conscious and supine on the ground. The patient complains of severe pain in a leg. Closed femur fracture. The trauma patient assessment has been completed and there are no further injuries. The patient will remove their shoes and socks. It is assumed the clothing has been removed from the patient's leg. A helper is available to assist. Equipment. A Sager traction splint, straps of various lengths, padding material, a right and a left ankle strap, figure 8 strap.
For this skill, the student will demonstrate the ability to apply a Sager traction splint, taking no more than 15 minutes. The patient is assumed to be conscious, supine, and on the ground. The patient complains of severe leg pain, which is indicative of a mid-shaft femur fracture. The trauma patient assessment has already been completed and there are no further injuries. It is assumed that the clothing has been removed from the patient's legs. The various pieces of equipment provided by the Sager traction splint are the splint itself, several compression elastic bandages, and 2 ankle straps, one for the right, one for the left, and a final figure 8 strap to connect both legs together. Approaching the patient, we'll go through our Penman protocol and formulate a general assessment. I would then instruct my assistant to stabilize the patient's knee by placing one hand underneath and below the fracture and one hand on top and below the fracture, encircling the area.
Student states, I would perform Penman and reports patient's general impression as stable or unstable. Student states, my name is, I am an EMT, I am going to help you. Reassures patient and explains procedure to patient. Student directs helper to immobilize injured leg. Student directs placement of one hand anterior and proximal to the knee below the fracture site. Student directs placement of other hand posterior and proximal to the knee below the fracture site.
Then you would perform your PSMC protocol by testing for either tibial or dorsal pulses, testing for motor control. Please move your toes for me. Can you tell me which toe I'm pressing?
Small toe.
And then for cap refill.
Perform PMSC protocol. Student palpates dorsal pedal or posterior tibial pulses on both feet. Reports to scorer presence or absence. Student assesses motor control of both feet. Holds ankles. Asks, please wiggle your toes. Student assesses sensation on both feet. Asks, which toe am I touching? Student assesses capillary refill on both feet. Reports to scorer.
With the patient's legs stabilized, place the splint between the patient's legs. Make sure that the handle on the splint is facing up, and you place a band for comfort in the thigh pad. Slide the strap underneath the gap in the patient's ankle. Make sure it's lying flat and slide it up the patient's leg. Attach the thigh strap as far up as you comfortably can for the patient. Thread it into the D-ring. And tighten.
Splint. Placement, sizing, and securing. Student assures traction handle is facing up. Adjust the thigh, groin, strap so that the buckle will lie on top of the thigh. Place a strap high up on the thigh. The splint's perineal cushion is placed snugly against perineum, groin, on the inside of injured leg. Student slides groin strap under the injured leg. Buckle of groin strap is snugly fastened on top of the thigh. Student extends the splint so the end is just past the sole of the foot, within 1 inch of heel. For skills practiced and testing only. If the strap is difficult to access, patient will get the strap end. Respect modesty and privacy.
Next, we'll select the appropriate strap for the injured body part. In this case, it's the right leg. We'll use the right strap. Opening this up, you want to place the stirrup, this loop here, underneath the bottom of the foot. Make sure that any plastic clips are facing outward. I'm going to slide this underneath the patient's heel and into position. In this case, we have an extra comfort pad. We're going to remove that because the patient's ankle is too small. And then we would attach the Velcro by wrapping the strap all the way around.
Student secures ankle strap around the ankle and to the splint. Student loosens ankle attachment straps to allow for slack. Arranges ankle pad to fit patient's ankle. Student assures buckle of ankle strap is on the outside of the ankle, not next to the splint. Student secures ankle strap around patient's ankle just above the malleolus.
Next, while this stirrup is loose, fit it into the bottom of the Sager splint. There you go. Now, we're going to take some slack out of this by tightening the stirrup.
Student attaches strap to splint. Removes any slack remaining in the ankle strap. Student verifies ankle pads and straps are secured to splint without twists.
Now that we've secured the ankle strap, we need to determine the tension that we can pull on the Sager splint. Ask the patient their weight. Your weight is?
170.
Now, normally we'd take 10% of that, which is 17. However, the maximum we can pull on the Sager is 15 per leg.
Student asks patient's weight, applies traction based upon 10% of patient's body weight. Not to exceed 15 pounds of traction. The Sager traction splint is designed for 2 legs with bilateral closed mid-shaft femur fracture. The maximum pull is 30 pounds of traction, therefore 15 pounds of traction each leg.
So that's what I'm going to pull to, 15. I'm going to pull up on this so that none of the ratcheting mechanisms disturb the patient. We will pull up on the locking mechanism as we do this. Once 15 is reached, make sure that the lock is secure. Fold the handle down.
Student applies traction, securing splint to leg. Student extends inner shaft of splint while lifting lock mechanism. This prevents it from clicking. The vibration could cause pain. Student keeps upper part of splint from sliding down by holding it with free hand. Student ensures splint is locked, pushes down on latch, folds traction handle down. Student directs helper to discontinue stabilization.
Next comes the placements of the securing straps. There'll be an ankle strap, a shin strap, and a thigh strap, and then an extra long strap to strap both legs together. We'll start by going under the gap in the leg, probably underneath the knee. Slide it down. As you pull it through, pull some extra material and try to get it in between the splint and the patient's leg to protect the patient's leg from the splint.
Student pads as necessary between splint and leg. Student secures leg support straps, bottom to top. Straps may go around knee or over fracture. Strap number 1 is placed above ankle. Strap number 2 is placed below knee. Strap number 3 is placed around both thighs.
Moving ahead, we notice that we now have the ankle shin strap, a shin strap just below the knee, a thigh strap, and a double strap for securing both thighs together. Now we're going to apply the figure 8 to connect the feet together before we attach the patient to a longboard. In this case, make sure that all the clips are not going to interfere with the patient and be below. Now we're going to attach the figure 8 strap, tying both feet together. Underneath the gap in the ankle. Make sure the strap is flat with no twists or turns, and preferably have this buckle facing up. Bring them together, cross them over, down between the feet and back around. Ideally, you want to have the completed buckle snugged up and in between the toes. Adjust if necessary. And then secure the patient to a longboard.
Student prevents lateral rotation by securing fractured leg to the uninjured leg. Student uses a strap tied in a figure 8 around the splint, ankles, and feet.
Lastly, don't forget to reassess the patient's PSMC. We'll test for a dorsal pulse. We'll test for motor. Can you please wiggle your toes? We'll test for sensation. Can you tell me which toe I'm pressing?
Small toe.
And we'll test for cap refill.
Reassess PMSC. Student palpates dorsal pedal or posterior tibial pulses on both feet. Reports to scorer presence or absence. Student assesses motor control of both feet. Holds ankles. Asks, please wiggle your toes. Student assesses sensation on both feet. Asks, which toe am I touching? Student assesses capillary refill on both feet. Reports to scorer. Student states, I would secure patient and splint to longboard to prevent movement of the splint. This concludes your instruction.
Thank you for watching Lomeli EMS Productions. I hope you enjoyed the training video. We look forward to producing more in the future. Remember, live for today, learn for tomorrow.